Hi everyone, this is Nick from Buddha Gaming with a dash of chill. Today's video, I wanted to do a quick E3 predictions video. I don't anticipate being right in any or all of the things I'm predicting, but I thought it'd be fun to give it a go. I usually listen to these on some of my favourite podcasts every year, so I thought this year would be my year. Let's have a look. So to start off with, I'm only going to do a Sony presentation one. Not that I'm a fanboy or a hater, just because Sony's what I personally know. So I think predicting things on either the Microsoft or the Nintendo side would seem a bit kind of half-baked, and no one really wants that. You've got better places to go for your information. Although I've heard some exciting things about Xbox Project Dylan. Will be interesting. It'll be really cool to see what they're doing with Scorpio and such like, and I'm hearing a really good rumour about Sega possibly partnering up with Microsoft, and if that's the case, that's a win for me. I will be watching the Microsoft presentation as well as the Nintendo Treehouse. On the Nintendo side, I really haven't got a clue what Nintendo are going to do because they're the most unpredictable company going. If it was up to me, they would announce a full 3D Pokemon kind of, open world RPG style, and they would also announce a Metro. That's what would kind of perk my ears up with those two companies. But getting back to it, I suppose. Sony E3 prediction 2017. I'm predicting, first off, because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, being a huge fan since, say, about 88, 89 conservatively. I think Spider-Man releases this year with the release of the Blu-ray possibly around December time, I'm assuming. Now, full disclosure, I can't 100% take credit for that. This came from a conversation with myself and a friend of mine, Luke, and it was more his idea, but the more he was speaking, the more it made sense. So I think that's a definite. Spider-Man going to be bundled in with the release date of the Blu-ray. I think it makes sense on both business and practical sense. Days Gone, I think we're going to see a release date for early next year, say early 2018. I'm going to guess around about April time. That's going to be a big announcement. I think there's a lot of people waiting for that, including myself. Hopefully we'll see some more story, because up to now we've just seen action. I'd like to see a bit more story. What have we got next? God of War. This one's a long shot, but I'm going to say holiday this year too. I'm saying that because I think Sony do need some heavy hitters this year, given that the Scorpio will be new hardware. New hardware always sells no matter what. Look at the Nintendo Switch. Look at the Xbox One S. These are all very successful hardware launches. People tend to want the newest, shiniest toys, and I'm no different. So I think we're possibly going to get two heavy hitters this year. I also hear a lot about Sucker Punch's new IP. I remember seeing a tweet from Shuhei Yoshida saying that he had played their new IP, and this was a long time ago. I think this was like last year, possibly summer. So I'm sure whatever they've been working on for so long is ready to be shown. I also believe that it's going to be a departure from anything we've seen with Sucker Punch. So I'm not anticipating an open world superhero sim. It would be fun to see them take on a new genre, perhaps a shooter or even a fighting game. That would be cool. A PlayStation 4 exclusive fighting game. People might be thinking Street Fighter 5, but that's still, if you ask me, that's multi-plat, which isn't a dirty word. It's just, it would be nice to have an exclusive PlayStation 4 fighting game. We'll see. I hear rumours of Armored Core, which I was surprised because I had no idea that it was from software that made Armored Core. I was a big fan back in the day. never completed a game, in full disclosure. I spent most of my time customizing different armor types and swapping out my mechs and upgrading them and making emblems on the edit tool. I had so much fun with that. So fingers crossed, hopefully Armored Core comes. I anticipate there's going to be at least 3 new IPs that we've never heard of. What they are, I'm not sure. You know, it would be cool to kind of delve back, which leads me to my next point. This segment of the video will be dedicated to more of a wildcard wish list of things that I'm pretty sure won't happen, but if I was calling the shots as to what I'd like to see. So first off, I'd like to see a new Tenchu. I thought the first and the second Tenchu were absolutely amazing. It kind of lost its footing after that. It kind of went a bit silly, and I think introduced too many new characters. And I'd like to see a back to basics Tenchu, stealth them up, you know, creeping around rooftops and stealth assassin people and all that good stuff. Sword played a lot. I would like to see a sequel announced for the Order 1886. Obviously, full disclosure, I realise the Order 1886, easy for me to say, I realise that Order 1886 wasn't a perfect game by a long shot. It had a lot of drawbacks, one major one being the time spent. I think the second was the quick time werewolf fights were really tedious and felt very tapped on, and I kind of thought the ending of the game was building up to such a good place in the story that when the ending finally came, I was left feeling a little disappointed. However, there was lots of things I did like about it. I loved the world building. I thought the world building was amazing. I loved the characters. I loved the backstory. I loved the weapon design. I loved the shooting. And I mean, it's very basic, I suppose, cover and shoot, but I thought the mechanics were brilliant. So I would personally love to see them given a second chance at that game. Maybe make it into a proper franchise, you know, expand it a little. That would be great. Next on my list is MotorStorm. Not too much love around these days for MotorStorm, but I thought MotorStorm 1 was one of the first titles, along with Resistance Fallen Man on the PlayStation 3, that really kind of blew my mind a bit. You know, I'm not a racer kind of a guy myself. A lot of people will be anticipating the new Gran Turismo, which I'm sure it'll look great and it'll sound great, but that's not really my thing. I like things like the arcadey, over the top MotorStorm action. That's my kind of thing. So I would love to hear Sony invest in a MotorStorm game, but we'll see. A Heavenly Sword, maybe a prequel. Now I know Ninja Theory have the new game coming out, which looks amazing, Hellblade, and I suppose at least spiritually it looks like a Heavenly Sword. You know, the main character does look like the main protagonist's little sister from that, but it's not. And from the development diaries I've seen, it looks nothing at all like Heavenly Sword. They've done some very clever game design choices with you know, you incorporating sound and light, and it's really very deep, and it's more about mental health and things like that. I mean, again, I really want this game, but what I would really like also, if I was, you know, if this was my say, I would like a sequel or a prequel to Heavenly Sword. Those of you who've played the game obviously realise why it might not be possible to do a sequel, but could probably be possible to do a prequel, but you never know. We've got a new God of War after God of War 3, so if that's possible, anything's possible. And for the last far out there guess, I'm going with an exclusive Sony multiplayer. Now I know I've already hit on the fighting game, but multiplayer, I use it in the broad sense of the spectrum. I'm thinking of the days of the PlayStation 3 with Warhawk. I don't know how many people out there enjoyed Warhawk. I used to love it. Thought it was great. It was the first multiplayer experience that I had exclusively to PlayStation 3. That I couldn't wait to jump on board with my friends and get better at the game. and just sink hours into it and never think about any kind of story or missions or anything like that. You know, I love the design of the Warhawks. I love the different modes of flight. You know, the hand-to-hand combat was a bit homed in, but the rest was cool. You know, the turrets, and it was a brilliant time. So I'd love to see something like that. Now, obviously, people are going to say Starhawk came out, but Starhawk was nothing like Warhawk in my mind. I didn't like it. I didn't like any of the design changes. It just felt like too different, and didn't have the same hook for me that perhaps Warhawk did. So I would like to see something either new from Sony, multiplayer exclusive experience, or better yet, give me Warhawk 3, give me more levels, bigger fighting areas, more vehicles to control, more customized character options, and I'm happy with that. So that's my quick E3 video, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what other old IPs you'd like to see return back to the PlayStation, or let me see what kind of things you're predicting for this E3. Is it going to be a Vita 2? I'm not so sure. You know, is VR going to be pushed more heavily? Is it going to be a must-have VR app that we've not heard about yet? You know, is one of the other many strong first parties going to come forward with something we've never heard? It would be nice to read your comments below, and let's have a dialogue about it, and let's chat about it. So that's Nick from Buddy Gaming. Hoping this video finds you well. Take care, guys.